Once upon a time in the early 20th century, the world was like a bubbling pot, ready to boil over. Countries in Europe were like big kids on a playground, each trying to prove who was the biggest and the best. These countries, including Britain, France, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Russia, were constantly competing for more land, more colonies, and more power. It was a tense time, with military alliances and rising nationalism creating an uneasy peace. You see, all these countries were split into two groups, the Allies and the Axis powers. The Allies were made up of Britain, France, and Russia, while the Axis powers included Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire, among others. Each side was ready to step into the ring if someone threw the first punch. And the first punch was thrown on June 28, 1914, when a young man named Gavrilo Princip, who wanted Bosnia to break away from Austria-Hungary, assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. And the first punch was thrown on June 28, 1914, when a young man named Gavrilo Princip, who wanted Bosnia to break away from Austria-Hungary, assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne. This event was like knocking over that first domino, and soon enough, nations were lining up against each other for war. Austria-Hungary was very angry and declared war on Serbia, Gavrilo's country. Russia, who was friends with Serbia, got ready to fight. Germany, standing by Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia and France. Even Britain got involved when Germany marched into Belgium. It was like a huge, tangled knot pulling all the big countries into a grand and terrible showdown. The war was fought on several fronts, like battlefields, stretching across Europe and beyond. The Western Front, from France to Belgium, was a harsh place of trenches and terrible battles. Meanwhile, in the East, armies clashed between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Russia. The Ottoman Empire played its part too, with fierce battles like the one at Gallipoli. As the war dragged on, new weapons like machine guns, tanks, and poisonous gases caused great destruction. But one of the biggest twists came when the United States, which had been minding its own business, joined the Allies in 1917, giving them a much-needed boost. The Russian Revolution of the same year saw Russia pulling out of the war, signing a peace treaty with Germany. By 1918, the Axis powers were weary and out of resources. Germany tried one last big push, but was stopped in its tracks. Finally, on November 11, 1918, the war came to a sudden halt with an armistice. The next year, a peace treaty called the Treaty of Versailles was signed. It was pretty harsh on Germany, making them pay big debts, shrink their army, and lose some lands. By the end of this grand chapter in history, around 16 million people had lost their lives. Cities lay in ruins, and old empires crumbled. New countries appeared on the map, but the treaty left many in Germany bitter and angry. This bitterness would eventually lead to another big and terrible war not long after, reminding everyone that the lessons of the past should never be forgotten.